Hello everyone, I thought I would jump on here and do a little reading, and I want to introduce some of the goodies. This here is my new reversible teacup mat. It is round and it does come in a lovely round tin, and you can hear goodies in there. And the reason I have it in a round tin, and it's a screw lid tin, so you don't lose any of your goodies of what's in here. It does come with a symbol dictionary that has all the negatives and the positives. So I'll show you what's inside these goodies. We get with this reversible teacup charm, it's actually on a necklace. This one comes with a beautiful tiger's eye pendulum. So you can see all them beautiful colours in that. And I love tiger's eye for its properties. It has also in here the flexible mat. Now this is a double-sided mat. I'll show you the outside in a minute. And it is made of spandex and jersey type fabric, and that way, as you can tell, it's been squashed in the tin. I love it. You don't have to iron it. But it is fully washable if you spill tea on it. If you're like me, I am some of the most clumsiest person around, and I'm constantly spilling tea. Just ask a few of my clients that be here. So it has a mat that is looking down the centre of a teacup. So when we actually read a real teacup, we're looking like this. Here is the handle. This is actual photo of a teacup that I have here, and the saucer on this one looks like a clock face. Now the reason I have it as a clock, because when we are reading traditional teacups, we divide our cups into all sorts of segments before we start reading and before you drink the tea or the client drinks the tea. Same principle goes here. It's vital that you set your intentions of timing, number one, or the sectionings. So we don't use the timing so much on this side, it is more on our blank side. So if we are looking at this down the cup in our blank side, and we was wanting to know what's going on in the next 12 months, you start at your 12 and you look at these as 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, and they are roughly the months in timing. So if I had scattered some charms like this and I was looking at a 12-month, I'd say, okay, what's going on here in 1 month? What's going on in here in 2 months? Not a lot. Same with the 3rd month, even into the 4th month. Now, it's a common question I get too, and people are looking at timing and they say, what if there's nothing in these months? Does that mean I'm just going to lay in bed and never see people anymore? No. When you see blank sections in a cup, it often means that things are rolling along and there's not a lot of outstanding information for you to really know. So blank spots in cups do not matter. Same thing goes here. Blank spots do not matter. So that's one way you can use the timings. The other is you might want to divide it up into a section and say, well, I want to know what my next 6 months is like. So you can divide it into 2 halves and say the first 3 months, then we can go 3 through to 6 months. We can also divide them into segments like this, where we could say love and passion, home and family, money, career, and as long as you've got those time intentions set, then that is all you need to know before you lay or cast any charms down. So it's this reverse side where we use a lot of the blank side and our sections and our timings. So I will divide, even before I go up into my tin, I will divide it into sections, and I'm just going to explain the scenario of this reading. Excuse me, I've been losing my voice, which is not good for when you're a reader. I'm lucky I'm connected to this beautiful network of readers throughout the world is just amazing. And I have a lot of readers locally to me and some very dear friends that are readers. And there's one in particular who has a problem with a client, and she's not sure whether to fire the client or not. And I know that sounds really random, but it is a term that we as readers sometimes have to do. And they can be clients that refuse to take part or helping themselves. You sometimes also get the client that will want to ring or text you every single day, whatever time of night or morning, wanting you to hold a hand all the way through of, is this the right decision? Do I do this and do I do that, and etc. I've actually got a couple of those myself, very long-standing ones. But when you have a client that the obsession has gone too far, there does come a time when, yes, you do need to consider, do you fire the client? And I know that sounds dreadful, but readings are a two-way street and an energy exchange. And if that person is draining you as a reader, then that spiritual relationship between client to reader is not good for either party. And it doesn't mean you've failed as a reader, and it doesn't mean that client has failed as the person or the querent. It simply means the two combined are not spiritually aligned. And I know there's a lot of professional readers out there might think, oh, Karen, that's just poppycock and just take people's money and run. A proper ethical reader will not think like that. We don't do that type of thing. When you are a proper ethical reader, you don't look at scamming people for monies and all sorts of things. And you don't look and think, oh, that's all right, I've seen that person 3 weeks ago and I'll just keep telling them the same. It is the wrong thing to do. And if people do that, I don't see them then on the professional or ethical as a reader, because what my business practices are, and I also have my daughter Chloe who runs Tarot Reading by Chloe here in Australia, is a remarkable reader and very, very popular as well. We both have our ethics of a person should not seek readings under a minimum period of at least 6 months. Some will try after 3. Personally, we prefer it at least 6 months. So this is the basis of, I have one of my dear friends and she has a client, and it's borderline now of, does she fire this client? Now, I'll give you the back end of the story. The client has been, it's almost like stalking this fellow, and her and the fellow have not actually even sat in a coffee date or met together at all, period. And so she's wanting to sort of form a relationship with this fellow, but yet she doesn't even know much, or we thought she didn't know much about this fellow. And so we have to look and think, okay, this person's, the reading's all the same. She even books this lady and pays for urgent readings, which are usually double or triple the price. And it's now not worth the coin. It's not worth my friend's ethical beliefs on this client. So the big issue is we're going to look at the client, of what's really going on with this person. So when we use this mat, we use the charm side or the symbol side with only a couple of charms, and you can scatter a whole lot on there, but these I like to use is grab the important information of like the basis of the information, and then we flip it over to have a look. So this here in my charm tin, these here is 100 charms. Every one of them is different. And this is a combination of my starter kit charms, but also the add-on 50 set chip kit as well. So there is 100 charms in here. So I'm first casting just a couple of charms, and when they're out on the saucer, I do like to put them back in the pot. Here we've still got a couple just here on the rim, and I'm reading the two symbols of what they are close to. So we've got wolf on the cat and we've got monkey on the clock. The cat is often deception, and like I said, I want to look into the basis of, okay, what's the story of this client? A cat there can tell me trust issues, and it may be where she has been someone has done something and so she's lost trust or the faith in people. But the wolf here would tell me she's tenacious, which means regardless of the treachery or betrayal that she has felt before, when I see the wolf there, it's almost like she's mirroring the same problems. It's like her tenacity will bring about, again, treachery. I can also see with the monkey and the clock here, monkey is often again smile sweetly at you, but they'll have their hand in your pocket, which is deception. And when we've got deception or thievery, loss, something taken from you, and we've got the clock, would tell me this girl is probably pretty relentless with this fellow that she hasn't had a coffee luncheon with. So it's given me the whole basis first of what we need to look at. So we now flip this over to our empty cup. Now I'm actually going to divide this up into two sections because I want to look here about the girl herself, but also what the advice of the reader should do. So, and the reader knows who I'm talking about, and I'm not tagging her because she is in the group and I know this will be immensely helpful for her. So I'm looking here first of what is about this girl. I've got four. I'm actually going to grab a little bit more. Now I want this in this side because I am looking at the girl. So let's have a look. We've got some things and I'll just turn them all around and show you what they are. So let me see if I can zoom in for you. Okay, so we've got mushroom, letter, the protractor and set square, we've got dinosaur, we've got eagle, we've got the drums, and we've got the grapes. The entire combination, I'll tell you in a nutshell what I see from that, even before going through each symbol. I look at that there is, again, this girl is relentless. She hasn't learnt any lessons from whatever she's done in the past or past relationships. To see the mushroom and the letter, it's almost like what is she doing discreetly that cannot be seen? Because a letter is information and a mushroom is often low level. So it means what information is it that she needs to grow from, and it's not always good information. The set square and the protractor, they often mean her attention to detail. And it's interesting, and I have seen this before when people are so obsessed or they're almost like borderline stalkerish. It's a bit strange. And I often see that there is their attention to detail or their hyper focus can be completely blown out. The drum here and the grapes, though, would tell me eventually, but it may take some time, this lady may grow a bit better from it. The drums are very important because when I look at that, but with eagle, it's almost like she's not looking within herself and she's not listening to her inner voice or the inner self. The grapes here would tell me too, though, there is some areas, and it can affect her in multiple areas, which can be her emotions and how she feels about things. Again, that she does need to look at growing rather than staying stuck in the past, because a dinosaur is often there, karmic lessons, which means don't repeat the mistakes of the past, progress forward, because it's almost like, no, she's stuck in the past here and not growing from them. So now I'm looking at here of what does the reader need to do. Sorry, I'm loud in my ruffles here. I'm just having a look. Right, we've also got the wolf, which, like I said, is often being strong, powerful, tenacious. This is really interesting because we've got the seahorse, which tells me the reader's been taking on far too many burdens from this person. She's also got the eye, which tells me again her herself must really listen to the senses. The eye is like opening up the channels, or the third eye that you have, this lady. And the cross there would tell me again the souls that are colliding here, because cross, I know lots of people see as the barrier. I always see the cross as what's the soul's journey here, because it is about the higher self. And I'd see that there as the higher self needs to really listen. The playing cards here literally mean you've been played too long and no further, don't bother taking the gambles any further. And she also has the music symbol, which means the reader herself needs more peace and harmony on a higher and spiritual level. So when I look at this, my advice to my dear friend would be time to cut the cord, because I look at this and say your client is relentless and she will not give up to your spiritual advice, because it's almost like they are polar opposites, and client is not taking advice from the reader who is the spiritual advisor. So I hope that helps you understand a little bit more about that. The pendulums are brilliant for when you really want extra info. And one of the best ways, if you've never used a pendulum at all ever, is learn the yeses, learn the nos, and learn the inconclusives. For me, it doesn't matter what pendulum I pick up, I always spin the same. So my yeses go anti-clockwise, my nos go clockwise. My inconclusives will either swing back and forth or side to side. And when you get an inconclusive, quite often it means either rephrase your question or put it down and come back to it in another 10 minutes, because it means you're not ready to hear the answer. So I'm simply going to ask, I'm hoping you'll be able to see it here because my video is above, of should my client fire, how can I do this? Hang on. I want to try and see if you can see my pendulum. Okay, you probably can't, so you're going to have to guess from me. So, should my friend fire this client? See, mine's shaking. So it's not giving me a definite yes or no. So I'm going to then, how can I phrase this? I'll just ask the thing, instead of firing the client, is it time that she refuses bookings from this client? I'm getting little yeses. So it is time to look at distancing herself and probably slowly cutting the cord rather than sorry blank you're fired, but it does tell me here that she does need to really think more on her what's good for my friend's spiritual health, and this lady unfortunately has a lot of growing to do. So I hope that helps you a little bit, and that is the Steampunk reversible teacup mat, and I love it because it all folds up nice and easy in its tin, and you're all good to go. So I'm just going to pop that in there, and everything is packed in its nice little travel kit, good to go. Thanks for listening.